Alright class, settle down. Our next presenter is Sally. When you're ready, please tell us about your research project.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Sally Fitzgerald, and my research project is on the American Dream.
Oh, this should be lovely.
The American Dream is a broken system created by the rich and powerful to keep the non-elite in their place. In order to successfully make it in today's society, a certain number of things need to be in place. The first is that the individual's family already be established and connected. The second is that from those connections, networks already be set in place for the individual to use and exploit as they see fit. The third are that fucking brown nosers be lined up with a piece of silk, waiting to wipe the individual's ass at any given notice. If he, or she, didn't have this going for them when they were dragged out of their mother's cunt, then life had already royally fucked them from the start. Their only goal in life from that point would be to become an unknowing slave to a warped system of rules and regulations that they have no choice but to follow. Basic things like the types of food you could enjoy, the type of education you could receive, the caliber of medicine you would have access to, the option of choosing an occupation that reflects you as a person, and even the degree of technology you would be able to use are all predetermined by birth.
Contradictory to belief, this isn't just a racial issue, it's also a class issue. If you're born into the wrong class with the wrong skin color, life gives you the sorry kid, you're shit out of luck speech. If you're born into the right class, with the right skin color, then all the doors are practically thrown open for you from the get-go. For all its talk on the world stage, America is nothing more than a welfare nation built on the backs of the working poor, who lay awake at night worrying about how they're going to make it through the next day. Whereas, the rich live comfortably in their multi-million-dollar mansions, dreaming about how they're going to make their next jump in revenue by outsourcing their company for cheaper labor. It's almost funny how in America, you're continuously told that in order to have something, you have to go into debt for it. Things like education, housing and transportation are the classic examples that the system loves to use in order to lure people into an endless cycle of debt. You want to go to school, the corporations that control loans own you. You want to buy a house or a car, the banks and insurance companies own you. You don't make enough money on your job to support yourself and you turn to the system for help, the government owns you. You can't pay off the loans you haphazardly got into to get your way through school, so in your hour of desperation you turn to an outlet of the system for help, the government's military owns you. Even if you die, the system still manages to leech off you with death taxes, which someone else has to pay. The American society is nothing more than slave labor draped under the guise of democracy, the individual reduced to the value of a broken light bulb.
So much for the land of milk and honey. My name is Sally Fitzgerald, and this is what I think about the American Dream. Thank you.
Sally, that report was horrid. Why would you say that about the country you live in?
Because it's all true.
I don't believe that. This nation is full of opportunities and options for everyone in every part of society.
Opportunities for the CEOs of companies who exploit their workers for the sake of an annual bonus check. Or, how about politicians who make it a routine practice to take from the poor to enrich only their lives, or the lives of their families? Even better. How about the billions of dollars politicians spend on wars, which initially start as a mission of revenge, but end up being about an untapped natural resource?
Sally, I know this country.
Don't cop out with agreeing with me to save face. If you want to live with an illusion, that's your choice. Although, it's because of that people turn a blind eye to reality. To reinforce this, all you need to do is turn on TV, flip through several channels and see how many are talking about the actual state of the planet. Not about some conflict on some distant shore or some kidnapped Caucasian kid from the States.
Sally, That's disrespectful.
Again, it's true. The American media, and possibly others, tend to favor issues and concerns that relate to the majority of that society's makeup. Since the Caucasian ethnic group dominates mainstream TV in America, it would make sense to network executives to divide up a majority of airspace to that one particular group. In movies, the same could almost be said, with the exception that away from what's considered mainstream, independent projects thrive on the aspects of ethnic diversity. Take the film Crash, which dealt with the still relevant issue of racism in America. Today, among superhero movies or the westernized train wrecks of Japanese animated films, the idea of doing something that would be considered controversial in a mainstream film wouldn't even exist. When people go to the movies, they don't want to think about social or political issues. They normally want to turn their brains off for 90 or 120 minutes or try to score with their dates.
So you're saying if people cared a little more about the important things, this planet would be a better place to live?
It's not enough to care a little more about the important things, when you have the wrong types of leaders heading your country. Within a military-oriented society, the people can't prosper because the government's supposedly supporting those that protect it. Or, a society that's based around an indispensable natural resource. Once it becomes public knowledge among nations that use that natural resource, they make attempts to become friendly with that nation. However, if that nation chooses to ignore the advances of other countries, then they turn to force to take what they want. For the people in that nation, initially, they're living the perfect life, but that's only speculation, since there are poor people in every crevice of the world. But, once that nation has been taken by force, the people in that society go from living like gods, to dogs in the street. With a democracy, its leaders may talk of things that will only benefit society. But how many actually put their words into action and do what they said they'd do? Even if a bill got through the House and Senate and became an actual law, some of the people in that society would still bitch about it because it conflicts with their political views. Or they think it's unnecessary because they already have what the program offers.
Well, does anyone have any questions that they want Sally to answer for them? Okay, then. Robert, you try and top what Sally did.